James' school is starting right now. He's going. Want to say hi real quick? Come here. Okay, never mind. No saying hi from Mr. James. That's okay. What do we have going on? Well, we spent most of yesterday working on a tournament course that's coming out soon, and to get you ready, to get you prepared to play your poker immediately, though, before that course is available, we have a 30-day challenge coming up, a 30-day tournament preparation challenge happening, well, later this week. So that's exciting. So if you are a Poker Coaching Premium member, look for that. Grips, Evan Jarvis, welcome. Congrats on your deep run the other day. Good job, good work. It's tough to win tournaments at the end. So today, we're going to be discussing how you should take your time. Use your time wisely, but at the same time, don't waste time. I think a lot of people get it in their minds that if they go slowly, it means that they can kind of dilly-dally and not actually do anything and not actually move forward and be productive. But you have people on the other end of the spectrum, this is where I kind of fall sometimes, where I just go so fast to the point that you never stop and smell the roses, and you inevitably don't, you'll sometimes miss small things that do matter. And this happens a lot when you're playing 20 tables of online poker at the time, right? I've been reviewing my $600 win from the other day, and there have been 3 spots in the first 200 hands where I think I probably should have bet a different size. And that's important to know. It's important to note, right, that perhaps we should be playing fewer tables or focusing on specific tables. For example, whenever I play online, I just load up every game $50 buy-in and higher, and that results in me having about 20 tables right off the bat, something like that. You guys hear James screaming? That's not good. And anyway, that will result in you having some $2,500 tables and some $600 tables and some $1,000 tables, but then also 4 or 5 $50 tables and 4 or 5 $100 tables. It probably makes sense if you see yourself making small errors or big errors in the higher stakes games to just cut off all those $50 games. Because while those $50 games are profitable, we won one of those the other day too, whatever edge you have in those is going to be I don't know, say you have 20% ROI, so we're making $10 out the door for that table. If we lose even 1% ROI on a $2,500 tournament, that's $25 right there. So if we lose 5% ROI, that's $125 we lose, which clearly we're not going to be making. So probably makes sense to play fewer games, right? So you want to make sure that you are somewhere in the middle. You want to be diligent and thoughtful on things that require thought, but at the same time, realize that some things don't actually require thought, especially once you do them a few times, right? Like, say you have the ace-2 offsuit on the button, okay? This is a spot where sometimes you're going to play this hand, sometimes you're not. And you're going to play this hand based on a few things. If your opponents and the blinds are overly loose and aggressive and they're just going to be jamming it all in on you very frequently, you should know, maybe you can just open fold this. Sounds nitty, I know, but if you're going to be getting jammed on almost every time, well, you don't want to play the hand. And in every other circumstance, you know to raise. So, that spot will come up a lot. And you can insert any marginal hand, like ace-2 offsuit, king-3 offsuit, 9-7 offsuit, whatever. Insert any hand here that is going to have a hard time playing against a 3-bet. Well, if you know you're going to be getting 3-bet a lot because you see those stats on your opponents, then you just fold. And you move on. So, I will be watching people play online, and so every time that spot comes up, they sit there and they think about it. They have to look at the opponent's stats. They have to think, okay, so the opponents are tight. What should I do? And, it's good to think that through and whatnot, but at the same time, if you've done that scenario 100 times, you just kind of know this is the play. You don't really have to give it much thought beyond looking at it and figuring it out. So you want to make sure that you essentially put things on autopilot that are worthy of putting on autopilot. Now, all things are not worthy of being put on autopilot. For example, if you find yourself in some weird multi-way pot on the river, and, insert any scenario, it doesn't really matter, but if you find yourself in a weird spot on the river where you have never been there, or you've been there only 3 or 4 or 8 times in your life, maybe you do have to spend a little bit of time thinking that through. If you are an online player, I would definitely recommend that every time you get to the turn of the river, you devote a little bit more attention to those spots because the money is a little bit bigger, and also because you have been in those scenarios fewer times than pre-flop spots, right? So you want to be devoting more time to things that actually matter. This happens in life as well. Let's say you're negotiating a new job. Say you go in to get hired, you get interviewed, and now you're trying to figure out your salary and benefits and whatnot. This is a spot where spending a little bit of time making sure you get the best deal is highly beneficial, because if you get paid even an extra 5% today, it may result in you getting paid an extra few percent next year and a few percent next year as your raises become a little bit more exponential, perhaps. You just end up making a lot more money out the door if you negotiate these things properly. Same thing if you're going to go buy a car, right? Say you're going to go buy a car. You don't just go in there and plop down cash and pay the sticker price. You go in there and negotiate. Sometimes it takes a little bit of time, but if you spend, let's say, 5 hours of your life to save $3,000, that's an insane win rate. So anytime you're doing things that are very substantial in terms of dollars, assuming you care about dollars, you definitely should be devoting time and effort to that. However, let's say you're going to go to the grocery store and you're going to buy $100 worth of groceries. Some people will spend a ton of time clipping coupons. And some people take great pride in this. But in reality, let's say you're not a world-class coupon clipper and you can save $10 every time you go to the grocery store. Let's just say. Maybe it's more, maybe it's less, I don't know. Say you're going to save $10 every time you go to the grocery store, but that requires an hour of your time to go through all the newspapers, clipping the coupons and comparing them and getting the best price. Well, is an hour of your time worth $10? Well, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. And if it's not worth $10, you'd be better off spent doing something else. Of course, you may enjoy clipping coupons, in which case that's more of a hobby. You do your hobbies most of the time for free or to pay. So if your hobby is looking at the newspaper and cutting things out of it, then perhaps that's a perfectly fine thing to do. But if you are doing things purely to make money or to save money, making money is the same as saving money, you want to make sure that you are doing it in the maximum, most profitable way, most beneficial way for your life. And some things that you may find yourself doing are incredibly low value. So if you're doing anything in your life that doesn't actually make you money and you don't like doing it, you should consider outsourcing it, or you should consider just stopping doing that. You should no longer do that thing. Clipping coupons is perhaps an example. Maybe cutting the grass. So you have a nice big yard and you hate cutting the grass. You despise it. I personally hate cutting the grass. Some people love it. It all depends on who you are and what you're doing. But if you hate cutting the grass, and it takes, let's say, an hour to cut the grass, or maybe 2 hours to cut the grass. I don't know how much it costs to get grass cut anymore, because I've lived in an apartment for quite a while because I hate cutting the grass. When's the last time I cut grass? Man, I must have been like 17 years old. 17 years since I've cut grass. That's fantastic. See, look, I don't like doing it and I don't do it anymore, right? Let's say it costs what? $100 to get your lawn cut and it takes 2 hours? Maybe it costs $50 to get your lawn cut. I don't know. Somebody tell me how much it costs to get a big yard cut. And if that costs you, let's say, $50 for 2 hours worth of work, you're paying someone $25 an hour to do that. And if you could spend that 2 hours making more than $50, doing something you enjoy, then it's just a slam dunk. Or perhaps, you would rather just sit on the couch and watch a movie. If you sit on the couch and watch a movie, you may have a great time. Would you pay $25 an hour to sit on the couch and watch a movie while you're also not cutting the grass? And for me, the answer is yeah. But for a lot of people, the answer is no, and that's okay. And you may say, but doesn't this imply you have a reasonable hourly rate? And it does. You need to be able to have a reasonable hourly rate, and that does require some amount of work and effort. You live in Arizona, no cutting grass for you. Yeah, when I lived in Vegas, I had fake grass. So that's because I lived in a house in Vegas, but I didn't do that. $20 for a normal yard in the city. Oh my God, $20. 1 acre, which is pretty big for roughly $100 American. Okay, that's probably about right, and that probably takes 2 hours, something like that. There you go. Makes sense. Kielk says, let's show the support by hitting the like button. Yeah, hit the like button. I would appreciate it. How did my day twos go? Well, 2 of the day twos are on Sunday, so I haven't played those yet. One of the day twos was a $2,500 tournament. I lost. I made the nut flush draw against top pair. Kind of near the bubble. It's a bit of a bummer. So far, on ACR, I've made, I think, like 5 day twos on these slow tournaments, and I have yet to cash any of them, so that's a lot of fun. I just learned they have shark scope for ACR. I didn't even know that happened. I mean, I'm an online fish, as you all can tell. So we're finally up there after our 2 wins. So that's good. It says we have high ability, so that's good. Whatever that means. Whenever you're playing online, by the way, definitely keep track of your results if at all possible using Hold'em Manager, Poker Tracker, etc. And if your EV big blind per 100 is relatively high, even if you're losing, you can be pretty happy you're investing your money profitably, and then it just becomes a volume game. And it does take a lot of volume. So we've played, I think, 4 Sundays total, and EV big blind per 100 in all games across the board from 50 to 2,500 has been roughly 6 EV big blind per 100, which is fine. Typically, it's thought that if you have between like 5 and 7 EV big blind per 100, you're playing the right games for you. If you have more than that, like say you're at 10 EV big blind per 100, you should probably be moving up to higher stakes. I can't really play higher stakes because the highest tournaments they have on ACR are the ones I'm playing already. And if you have lower than 5 EV big blind per 100, if it's like 3 or 4, you are going to experience like an extreme amount of variance, and you should strongly consider moving down. If you have lower than 3 or so, then you definitely want to move down, and you want to make sure you're spending a ton of time studying. So definitely keep track of that. Have I been watching the scoop at all? No. I do not have time to watch tournaments on the internet. Okay. Hello from South Africa. Good morning. Good morning. You aren't cutting the right coupons, John. Yeah, perhaps. Really, it all goes back to hourly rate and do you enjoy it. I can guarantee you I'm not going to enjoy going to get a newspaper and looking through it and trying to think what I'm going to buy ahead of time, et cetera, et cetera. I would much rather, in this instance, just pay 1.5x as much for groceries and do it in like 1 minute. For example, we ordered today on Fresh Direct. This morning, I ordered groceries. It's going to arrive. I don't even have to go to the grocery store. And I don't know how much of a vig I'm paying, but it's probably 1.5 times or twice as much as you would pay if you bargain hunted hard and went all around town getting groceries at the absolute cheapest price. But it took me literally 5 minutes. 5 minutes to get all the groceries I need for the next 3 or 4 days. And I don't have to go to the grocery store. That's especially valuable in this coronavirus time where you really don't want to be going to the grocery store, perhaps. So that's that. Did you call or bluff on the hand? I'm not sure which hand you're referring to. Let's see. One question, please. Situation. On the bubble, next hand you'll be in the money. Can you fold kings with a 10 big blind stack on the small blind when you have a raise? When you have raise first opportunity against the big blind? No, always all in. 10 big blind stack is reasonable. You're not trying to like sit there and knit it up and get in the money. I guess like if you care about getting the money, maybe. Do you have the times where you sit down to play and you just know mentally that you're not going to be playing your A game? Not really, because I'm not sitting there playing poker all day every day. If you play poker all day every day, you will feel some days you're like, oh, I really don't want to play today. This will happen at the World Series of Poker. You go out there and you play for 30 days and you have bad results, and then you go and play the next day and you're like, oh my God, I really don't want to be here for this random $800 tournament with fighting all these people to get to the bathroom and get food and all this. And I would suggest that if that's your mindset, go do something else. You don't have to play. That's the nice thing about poker, is that if you know that you are doing a reasonably good job putting in the volume, doing the work that you need to do, it is okay to take off days. That's actually part of the skill of poker, especially during things like the World Series of Poker or the Scoop or whatnot, is that you need to make sure you know how to adequately take off days such that you are rested and recharged for the days that matter. So find the lowest value days. Like in the World Series, I don't think I've played any of those $1,000 buy-in or lower games in the last 4 or 5 years. And that's because I'm playing the bigger stuff, and I would just much rather have an off day than extract an additional $500 in value or something like that and deal with all the nonsense. Sometimes you need off days, you need to rest, you need to recharge. Mike says, you joined ACR yesterday. I sure hope you didn't join ACR for me, because I do not recommend ACR at all. I would highly recommend you play on a licensed, regulated site if you can. How about tournament size? Is that a factor besides EV big blind per 100? Well, no, I don't think. I mean, you just have to realize EV big blind per 100 essentially assumes that instead of, say you get it all in with aces against queens and you lose, it just assumes that you did not lose that pot. You didn't lose your stack, but you actually won 80% of that pot. And the queens won 20% of that pot. That's what EV big blind 100 assumes. It's not the perfect metric, but it is a reasonable metric. And, I mean, there is no perfect metric to accurately measure skill in tournaments, but EV big blind per 100 is probably the closest thing that we have. And you have to realize in big field tournaments, you're going to have bad runs. Now, if you do have a high EV big blind per 100 and your results are still bad over a long series of time, that could mean you're screwing up in the late game. You could be messing up ICM spots really, really bad. So that's definitely worth mentioning. Also, if you're playing a lot of satellites or progressive knockout tournaments, your EV big blind per 100 should be lower, because in progressive knockout tournaments, you're going to make calls that lose chips in exchange for collecting bounties. And in satellites, you should be playing very tight sometimes to get in the money, which is going to make you have a lower win rate in some spots. So definitely be aware of that. How long is a long period of time? Well, I mainly mean in terms of a long period of tournaments. I don't know, 1,000 tournaments, something like that. You're going to find if you play about 1,000 tournaments, your results will start to be at least somewhat reasonable if you're playing games that have 300 people on average. If you're playing games that have 5,000 people on average, then you need even more tournaments. Who would be a good personal coach for a micro stakes player? We had Evan Jarvis here earlier. Hit up Evan Jarvis. He's a good one. Your win rate is 10 big blinds per 100 hands over 10K hands. Is this precise? No, this is not precise. Also, big blind per 100 is not what you want to be looking at. You want to be looking at EV big blind per 100. When I had the flush draw and did I bluff it off? The hand was someone raised under the gun near the bubble, loose-ish player. I flat called off of, I think, 20 big blinds with ace jack of diamonds in the hijack seat. Didn't really want to jam there. Could have jammed. Wish I would have jammed pre-flop. Would have worked out better. Small blind and big blind both called, so the pot goes up to like 9 big blinds, and I think I had like 15 left. So maybe I started with 17 big blinds, something like that. I don't remember. Anyway, flop came king 5-2, 2 diamonds. They checked around to me, and I just ripped it in. It's a spot where you don't really want to bet small and get raised, because you obviously have to call it off, but you don't want to be getting it in against anything on the bubble. The initial pre-flop raiser had king jack, though, so I did not spike an ace or a diamond, and I was out. If you're going to play on ACR, make sure you cash out your money every day. Keep about one day's worth of play on there. I cashed out the other day after I won. That money is yet to hit my Bitcoin account, so that's annoying. ACR is a quality site. They said it would arrive within 24 hours. I sent them an email after 24 hours, said it has not arrived. They sent me an email back saying it'll arrive within another 48 hours. I've seen how this story happens a time or two in my life, and we may never get that money. We'll see. Can there be a little coffee without crappy American sites being mentioned in the chat? LOL. No, apparently not. It is interesting to know, to notate here that people really don't know where to play and don't know how they want to be playing, and makes me wish I would open a site like Poker Bros and just take all of your money and rake and then not pay all of you. That's what a lot of people are going to do to all of you, so don't play on those. If I had to to play on ACR or something like PPP or Poker Bros, I would definitely tell you play on ACR, because at least it's a semi-legitimate poker site. Don't play on the apps unless you just want to give away your money. Let's see. If you're 5 big blind per 100 winner in tourneys, do you think long-term that will lead to success? Again, big blind per 100 doesn't matter. You need EV big blind per 100. That is a stat you can look up. So I can't show it to you. It's not going to work. Okay. If you played one of the best pros 1v1, how many games would you win out of 10? Depends on the structure. It's a very bad question. Also, you didn't even say what format we're playing. What game were we playing? No Limit Texas Hold'em? Are we starting with 5 big blinds or 1,000 big blinds? So it's not a very good question. Also, what is the best pros? Are we talking about the literal best heads-up player in the world? Are we talking about a heads-up bot? Are we talking about strong, solid? What is the best? Do you mean the literal number 1? Or do you mean the top 1,000? Because if you put me against the top 1,000, I'd probably win. If you put me against the best, I'm going to lose. All right, let's see. Ace-Jack suited is a hard-handed jam there. Yeah, you don't want to jam pre-flop against under-the-gun raiser on the bubble. You really don't want to be doing that. So yeah, that's fun. Poker Bros isn't legit. You cashed out within an hour. This is the typical thing that people say. I cashed out. I had no problems. It must be legit. You have to understand, these sites will cash out until they don't cash you out. The games will run until they don't run. And what happens is eventually the sites will go down, and all the money that's stuck on the sites will be stolen by the site or taken in some way. If you're lucky, the government will seize it and pay you back within 5 years. So that money is just going to be locked up. And all money that they have when you're cashing out is also going to be locked up and not paid to you. So you have to make sure that you don't keep much money on those sites. You think it's called average EV big blind per 100 and hold'em manager. If you add it as a column statistic. Let me look. I can show you. I have mine pulled up right here. Give me 1 second. It's under reports. Click on overall. It is called all-in. I don't know. Let's see what this is called. All-in adjusted big blind per 100. Yeah. Okay. There you go. All-in adjusted big blind per 100 is the stat you want to be looking for. Okay. Good. All-in adjusted big blind per 100. EV big blind per 100, whatever you want to call it. All right. So today we were talking about take your time, but also don't waste your time. What else can we discuss here? In your life, you want to ask what needs to be done. In your life, what actually needs to get done? And then just do it. You must do the work. You must do the work. So many people think that they're just going to be given things by life. They think that if they just kind of hang around, someone's going to take notice of them and just start giving them a good job, giving them money, giving them opportunities, and that is not how life works. You need to ask what needs to be done to accomplish the things that I want to accomplish, and then do it. Actually do it. Don't be lazy. And some people don't like the idea of thinking that they are lazy, but if you're not achieving the things you want in life in this day and age where you can use the power of the internet to accomplish many things that you would possibly want, you're probably not working hard enough. And if you're not going to work hard, you're not going to get things done. For someone who has 6 hours a day to play and study, what do I recommend in terms of ratio of playing to studying? Are you already a strong winning player or not? If you're a strong winning player, you don't need to study much. If you're not a strong winning player, you need to be studying all 6 hours. If you're playing on Club WPT, this is not a real poker site. This is a play money poker site, effectively. And how does that compare to a real money poker site? It does not compare. I would highly suggest if you want to study and get good at poker or use poker online as an experience and practice for live poker, you must be playing for actual money. And an easy way to do that is just deposit $50 on one of these shady sites. If you lose your $50 deposit, who cares? Because it's $50, right? And then play small stakes games, and you're going to find that those players, even playing for small stakes games, are very, very prone to play as if it is real money, because it is real money. Compared to something like Club WPT or games where you just pay like $20 a month and basically no one wins unless you win some giant grand prize. A lot of those people are just straight up goofing off. So I would highly suggest you play for real money in some way or form if your goal is to get good at poker and use it as practice for live poker. Can I give you the ultimate way to play satellites? Yeah, get in the money. Do you think think the recent events will encourage us to take a look at online poker regulation? No, I do not. They should, but they won't. How much of your game is molded around reading players, or is it all math? You have to understand that reading players simply changes the ranges that you are against. Everything in life, in theory, can be broken down into math or biology or physics or chemistry or whatnot. And poker is no different. So the way tells work, essentially, is let's say that someone is playing poker and you're playing a hand with them. You raise the cutoff, they call the big blind, flop comes, and all of a sudden they're just really uninterested in the hand and they're like watching TV. Well, that person's range probably just lost literally every premium hand. So their range, instead of being the nuts and nothing and marginal made hands and junk, becomes mostly junk. So that's how tells work. That's how reading people works. It's not something like, ooh, I know this guy has 9-4 offsuit now. It's like, no, this guy has way fewer premium hands and probably way fewer marginal hands and probably way fewer draws. He has a lot of junk. Alternatively, say you raise and the big blind calls, and now all of a sudden the big blind's like, oh yes, I like this flop, I'm ready. Well, now that guy's range probably lost a lot of his junk. He may have a draw, he may have a good marginal made hand, he may have the nuts, but he probably doesn't have garbage. And if your opponents are very loose with their mannerisms, then that kind of thing happens all the time. In live poker, you can get just a much higher win rate by saving continuation bets, or continuation betting in spots where you would normally have to check some portion of the time, just by paying attention to your opponents. That allows you to steal pots and avoid putting in chips unnecessarily. Okay, so yeah, that's that. What does it mean if you have a good big blind won at showdown, but a negative big blind won without showdown? This means that you are not stealing pots that don't belong to you. You're probably playing way too tight, most likely, assuming your win rate's not especially good. If your win rate's great, then it means you're probably just playing small stakes games against oblivious players. As you move up higher and higher, you're going to find that your red line, the line that is, most sites is red, the money won without showdown is going to need to go up. Whereas in the small stakes games, that number can be negative because your opponents are just so oblivious to the fact that you are not playing any garbage hands that they'll pay you off anyway. So typically, you look at good high stakes winners, their red line goes up and their blue line is break-even-ish. Blue line is showdown winnings. So they'll profit on when their opponents fold too often, and they break even when their opponents call, or even lose a little bit when their opponents call. This is what loose aggressive players do. And then the opposite of that is you win when you get to the showdown because you just have the best hand every time, and you lose all the small pots that you fold. So that's what that means. How can you detect your own leaks since you cannot afford a coach? Look at your stats and compare it to the stats of good winning players. Post hands in the poker coaching forum, in the poker coaching Discord. Watch the poker coaching homework challenges and go through them. Consume all the content at pokercoaching.com. We have quizzes. Low and micro stakes players really don't care about their money. They go all in with anything. I completely disagree. I've spent a decent amount of time grinding small stakes games for content for all of you in the past. And the players definitely care about the money way more than play money games. You find it hard to stay motivated and study when the games are so good. I'm not sure what you're saying here. If you don't have good motivation, then you don't need to be in poker. You have to ask, why am I playing poker? If you don't like it, go do something else. If you do like it, then go all in, be devoted to it. Happy birthday to Martin Grapeniak, who just won a $3,000 event this week. Wow, congrats. And was kind enough to walk you through all the hands. Good job, good work. How tight should you play the small blind? You should play the Game Theory Optimal Strategy. We have implementable GTO charts available for you in the tool section right there at pokercoaching.com for all the various stack sizes. So you should never have to ask me this question. Go and look at the charts. Does every time we get implied odds or pot odds of 8 to 1 or more, should we call? No, not necessarily. First off, you need like 20 to 1 with small pairs and suited aces. I'm sorry, you need 20 to 1 with suited connectors and suited aces. You need about 10 to 1 with pairs. And if you could still get re-raised, then you're not going to see the flop every time. Are people trying to get a read on you when they ask how many chips you have? Probably not. HS Wong, welcome. Thanks. How late is late registration? It depends on your skill level. Every time you're buying into a tournament, whether it's later on time or whatever, you want to ask, do I have a positive expectation in this tournament? And sometimes you won't. If you're buying in with 8 big blinds, let's say, and the rake is 10%, that means that you basically have to overcome that rake with an 8 big blind stack, and that's going to be close. It's going to be tough. But, with a 20 big blind stack, if you're very good with that stack depth, sure, you can beat the rake. This is the hardest way to make an easy living. It's not an easy living. If you don't have the heart or stomach for it, find another job or hobby. Yeah, that's for sure. What's a realistic win rate at 1, 2, and 2, 5? About 10 big blinds per 100 is thought to, or 10 big blinds per hour in live poker is thought to be pretty decent. Do you think Eric Seidel is underrated? No, I don't think anyone underrates Eric Seidel. He's a very, very strong poker player. Do you use Table Ninja? No. You have ace 10, or you have 100 big blinds. Villain has 20 big blinds on the cutoff. He shoves. You call ace 10 suited. Is that a bad call? On the final table bubble? Probably if the guy's tight. If the guy's loose, absolutely not. Okay, so now let's get back to the topic. Take your time, but don't waste your time. Okay. We already discussed you need to do what needs to be done. We also need to discuss when there are deadlines. A lot of people struggle with deadlines. And I think it causes unnecessary pressure to a lot of people. They think that this giant threat of something bad happening, missing the deadline, is looming over me, and that's making me scared and makes me anxious and makes me not want to do the thing that I need to do. And you have to realize the deadlines are there to try to ensure that you get your job done and do your work, right? A lot of people have a hard time getting their jobs done on time. And to be fair, if you're working with a big business, you need to get your job done on time, because if you don't, you're going to hold up everybody else. So what do? Well, I do the work as soon as it comes in within reason. And that results in me being way ahead of schedule. Every week, I have to write a few articles. Every week I have to make a weekly poker hand video. And every week I have to make quizzes for poker coaching. I have to do that every single week. So how do we do this? Well, I'll tell you what I do. I devote entire days to doing one of those things for all day, literally 6, 7, 8 hours. And then I do it. I'll sit here and I'll write articles for 8 hours in a day. I do it many times. And you do that, and in a day you may write 20 articles. If you're fast, if you're slow, maybe you write few articles. Poker articles are kind of easy because you're just talking about a hand, the way I do articles at least. We're not talking about good, hard investigative journalism or anything. But for easy poker hand review articles, I can do one every 30 minutes, give or take. So at the end of the day, we may have 10, 15, 20 articles. And now if I have to do an article a week, that is 2.5 or 3 months worth of content. And I don't have to think about that again for 2.5 or 3 months. Same thing with poker coaching quizzes. I make, 2 a week, 3 a week, something like that. If each quiz takes me 20 minutes to make, that's 3 per hour. I'll sit here for 8 hours and do it. That's 24 quizzes, which is, 3 months worth of work. And I suggest if you have anything that has a very routine deadline that you can do ahead of time, don't procrastinate and don't do things last minute. Also, if you know something's going to come up, if you know that, let's say you're going to be busy with your job or you're going to go play poker for a week, try to knock out everything you possibly can that is routine ahead of time so that you can then focus on the things that matter. Great example of this. For the World Series of Poker, every year, I make a point to get all of my routine stuff done until about August, because I don't want to think about it. And so, I was actually kind of lucky when the virus hit, because I would normally have to spend some time making routine content, which would take 3 or 4 or 5 days out of my month. But I actually had everything done that I needed to do. So that allowed me to sit here and focus on my newest book, which is finished now, focus on a fundamentals course, which we've already released, and focus on the tournament course, which we are starting to really get pretty far through. And if you essentially batch things, you do everything you can ahead of time in a big block, you're going to find that you're just way more productive because you don't have to go back and remember how to do the thing. It's funny, after the World Series of Poker, I always have to kind of remind myself how to work the recording programs, how to work the editing programs, etc. So it's interesting to think that a lot of people, if they need to do something every week, they'll just do it last second. But you really, really, really don't want to be doing things last second because that will always grind on your mind and give you anxiety. And you don't want anxiety. I have literally no anxiety in my life because I know I'm going to get everything done quickly. Okay, let's see. You all are typing all sorts of stuff. Let's see. You respect the poop out of me. Thank you. The poker community is full of snobs and uptight folks. Sure. You'll find that most communities are full of snobs and uptight folks. Let's see. Taking Mastering Small Stakes, No Limit Hold'em slow. Yeah, good. Anytime you're reading a textbook, and Mastering Small Stakes, No Limit Hold'em is a textbook, is wise because you're trying to learn something, right? If you're reading things for enjoyment, for just fun, then you can go way faster. But if you're actually trying to learn something, go slowly. Take yourself way too serious. Simple question, not all dryness is needed. I apologize for the way I talk. If you don't like it, feel free to leave. See ya. The nice thing about the internet is you have a lot of options. If you don't like me, go find someone you like. Don't waste your time on things you don't enjoy. It's very important to not waste your life away, Dante. You only got one life. Don't spend it doing things you don't enjoy. Have I been more productive since the pandemic? Oh, absolutely not. So I used to have Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. till 6 p.m. blocked off to do work. And I would work that whole time. That's how I got, 4 months ahead on all the routine stuff, right? And now I have 2 days where I get to work. I have Monday and Tuesday where my wife's dad comes and watches the kids, which is a huge help. And I work hard all day, every day. Yesterday, I think I sat here and I recorded videos for 14 hours. It was a long, grindy day. But I'm happy to do it. I had 2 days in a row like that. I've been trying to play online on Sunday afternoons to get content, to make sure the stuff I'm talking about in the tournament course is good and legitimate. And so I'm spending time doing that. So far, that's been going pretty well. I'm losing every $2,500 tournament. But besides that, it's going well. I'm doing the classic, be profitable, 200 buy-ins, but only up a little bit of money. But that's okay. That's how tournaments go. But am I being more productive? No, but I'm definitely making more use of the small amount of time that I have because I'm watching my kids Wednesday, Thursday, Friday for the most part, and then sometimes Saturday and Sunday morning. So I really don't have a whole lot of dedicated hardcore work time. So the days I do have to work, I'm just grinding as hard as I can. How do you get motivated back on playing when you're on a pure downswing? I don't care if I'm losing. It's very important to realize that your results are not indicative of your skill level in the short term. So as long as you know you're a good, solid, profitable, winning poker player and you're playing in games that you can beat, then you're in good shape. We discussed EV big blind per 100 earlier, right? If you look at the games you're playing and your EV big blind per 100 is low, move down because it'll be higher in the smaller games. As you play smaller and smaller, your opponents play worse and worse. You're procrastinating while watching this video. Yeah, that happens. Do all or most pros play 12 to 20 tables at a time rather than just being more efficient at a higher stake game? Depends on what they're doing, right? To be fair, if I am going to be playing, let's say, the highest stakes games online, I'm not going to be playing a bunch of random tournaments. I think most people from my era, a lot of them do just play a lot of tables. But a lot of people also don't. Like, I know Michael Acevedo, good, strong online player. He plays something like 6 or 8 tables at a time. And, that's fine and good. I think that's probably a good number. I know that a lot of the backing companies, they want their students or their backies playing a relatively small number of games to ensure they have a decent edge. Should you use Table Ninja? I do not use Table Ninja. I found that it doesn't work across various sites, and usually when I'm playing on a few sites, and that just causes a bit of a mess. Has poker strategy moved from books to paying for expensive masterclasses? We've discussed expenses in the previous Little Coffee, I believe. Essentially, anything that you are paying for is basically free if you're going to put it to good use. But I mean, look, pokercoaching.com, you can get a completely free trial. Go there. If you catch us on a deal, you can get the Poker Coaching Standard really cheap. Poker Coaching Premium you can get really cheap. I definitely do not think you need to be paying $1,500 for some sort of course, especially if you're not going to even be putting it to great use. If you're not going to be studying and playing poker all day, every day, you don't need to be paying $1,500 up front for a course. I think that's a horrible thing to do, especially when you have other great resources that are available at a significantly cheaper price. You have to realize a lot of the courses that are charging you $1,500 are spending loads of money on marketing. So you are paying for their marketing efforts so that they can then spend that money on more marketing efforts, et cetera, et cetera. Modern Poker Theory, the one book I would buy, the one poker book you would recommend if you only could buy one, I'd say Mastering Small Stakes No Limit Hold'em is the one that I would recommend. If you aren't already a good poker player, right? If you're not already a strong winning poker player, I would get that one. It's just a little bit more applicable. That said, Modern Poker Theory is great too, but it's a little bit high level, and I think you need to learn implementable strategies first. Have I ever played or been in Phoenix or Tucson? No. Oh yeah, by the way, we have a new poker coaching app. We used to have an old Float the Turn app. That one doesn't work anymore. If you search poker coaching on the iTunes or Android App Store, it'll come right up. So download that, and if you see any problems, send me an email, support@pokercoaching.com, so I can fix it. Do you have someone helping you play 40 tables? No, I don't play 40 tables. I play about 24 or so at the most. That's doable. I just cascade them on the monitor. It's nothing too difficult. I actually recorded myself playing the other day. The other day I took a second and a third. It must have been 2 weeks ago. And we're releasing that on Poker Coaching starting this week, I think. So you'll be able to see me sitting there playing for 14, 15 hours, including a second and a third. So check that out soon if you're a Poker Coaching member. What's the difference between the new app and the old app? So the old app was just the push-fold charts. New apps is the push-fold charts, push-fold quiz, and then also you can currently access all the quizzes for poker coaching that your membership level gives you access to. And we're going to be adding classes soon, and also a new PREFLOP app that has all the relevant game theory optimal ranges you could possibly want. The goal is to give you all of the resources that other training sites try to charge you tons of money for basically free or cheap. So, it's going to sound bad, but I think a lot of other poker training sites out there that are charging you a ton of money are fleecing you because they're not actually putting out much content, and the stuff they have is easy to replicate. And a lot of stuff they have is actually kind of old and outdated. For example, if they made their range with Pio Solver, they're just wrong. And we have better tools today than when these people ran these things. And so, anyway, we're going to have range charts coming out very soon. With just all Munker Solver, solve GTO ranges for various stack sizes, various type of games. And we're going to have classes coming out soon on top of the quizzes that are already there. or the charts for free. Go to pokercoaching.com, sign up for a trial, click on tools, and see what you can get. I actually do not know. Should you drop down to stakes before you need to drop down in stakes? Yeah. I never mentioned blocker bets. Yeah, I do. If you want to watch blocker bets, watch that video of me playing online for 13 or 14 hours. You'll find that small value bets on the river act as blocker bets. No, the main time you want to be making... Look, what is a blocker bet? It's a blocker bet like a one big blind bet. The time you want to be making one big blind bets is when someone raises, you call the big blind. Flop comes, you check, call the flop. Turn goes check, check. On the river, you have a hand that has between like 55 and 48% equity against your opponent's range. In that scenario, you want to be betting one big blind with a lot of those hands, plus something like 10% nut hands, 5% bluffs. And it's a pretty reasonable strategy, and it works out very well. Maybe not one big blind, maybe 1.5 big blinds, something like that. You're betting one or 1.5 big blinds into well, think about it, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. One big blind into like a 14 big blind pot. What software am I using? This is called XSplit that I'm using. What else? Really, the main topic of the day is you need to do the work. A lot of people don't want to do the work. They want somebody else to do the work. And if you don't do the work and you don't make good use of your time, you're going to fall behind. If you are unhappy in your current setup in life, but you need to make money and you have a job that you do only because you make money. And this was me a long time ago. I used to work at an airport because I needed to make money. I used to work at McDonald's because I needed to make money, right? I didn't like those jobs, but I did them because I made money. You want to spend all of your free time actively getting better at something else that can potentially give you the opportunity to get away from the job that you're just doing to pay your bills. And that can be anything. For me, it was poker. Also Magic the Gathering. There was a potential to become a professional at both poker and Magic the Gathering and get away from just working a job for no real reason besides to make money. And I eventually realized Magic the Gathering doesn't pay a ton of money and poker potentially could. So we shifted all of our focus eventually to poker. And I do think you do want to spend time learning various things. Try out lots of things. And if you do try out lots of things, inevitably you'll find some things that you enjoy. You need to experiment. You need to see what all you could potentially do and what you enjoy doing. And then devote your time to that. Obviously, whatever you're going to be doing, you want to make a point to know that it has some potential to give you real income down the road. And you can get real income in various ways. For example, I still have Magic the Gathering cards and I still sell them on the internet. And that brings in a little bit of money. And if I had to do that really hard, like if you told me I had to make $3,000 next month flipping Magic cards, I could. I don't want to, but I could, right? That's a skill that I've developed that I know I could realistically easily do. And that's good, because if poker just dies tomorrow, or I wake up and poker doesn't exist anymore, I don't have to go get a job. I can, make a little bit of money doing that. And you want to make sure that you are actively working hard to get away from the things that you are doing that you don't want to be doing. Like me cutting grass earlier. I don't want to cut grass. So what do? We get a house that doesn't have grass and, pay somebody, right? So make sure that you are spending your time learning other things. Isn't it kind of a danger to burn in too much info? No, you need to be learning. What's an ideal study routine for a poker player? It depends on your life scenario. Study as much as you can if you're not already winning a ton. Is it reasonable to play lower stakes games without looking at your cards? No, that's asinine. You need to learn how to play your ranges accordingly, and your range is based on breaking down your range appropriately. Can you upgrade Poker Coaching to Poker Coaching Premium? Yeah, send us an email, support@pokercoaching.com. We will help you with any sort of payment up or upgrading, whatever. Anytime you have a problem with poker coaching, send us an email, support@pokercoaching.com. I have a great team that will help you with that. All right, I have to go. Do you prefer ace-king suited or queens? Usually ace-king suited. Not against queens, but ace-king suited is generally thought to be a very, very good hand. Both hands are great. The nice thing about ace-king suited is you're very rarely dominated, right? Whereas with queens, every once in a while you're going to be running into it. So that's going to be it for today. Do you play Zoom? Sure. What are my thoughts? I think that you're not going to win at Zoom games. Zoom is great for getting experience against very tough opponents, but Zoom is a terrible way to make money. Do I want to help you get a random card game I've never played out into the market? No. And I'm not the person to ask for that. You need to ask someone who has a following of people who play card games. As Kevin says, have a great day, everybody. Do something nice for someone and make the most of your day. Michael says, you bought a 1-year subscription 3 weeks ago. You was losing at 6 big blinds per 100. Now, 3 weeks later, you're winning 10 big blinds per 100. Well, make sure it's a big sample, but good job, good work. That is exactly what we like to see. That is exactly what we want to see. I like to hear about all of you crushing the games. Do you mean Zoom cash games? Yes, Zoom games are Zoom cash games or fast forward cash games. Games that are very fast where you click fold and it moves you to another table. No one's really winning in those games and they're a rake trap. That said, the people who are winning at some small win rate. Small win rate times 4 Zoom tables at a time times many hours will actually lead to a pretty decent win rate. Usually when I'm playing, though, it's usually the highest stakes ones. Usually like 2-5 is the highest that runs on most sites. And I'm doing that purely for experience against the best players in the world because the literal best players in the world are sitting there playing those games because they have nothing else going on and they want to get in lots of experience as well. And it's kind of like, solid grinding for them. So anyway, that's that. But yeah, I mean, look, if you play small stakes, play the micro stakes Zoom games, I'm sure they're soft. But you're going to find that your win rate at the slower games is always going to be higher than the Zoom games. I have to go. I have to take care of my kids. Have a great day. Enjoy yourselves. Make good use of your time. You only have one life to live. If you're doing things you don't enjoy, get off of that and do things that you enjoy. Check out pokercoaching.com and click like and click subscribe. Thanks for being here. Good luck. And I'll see you again bright and early Friday morning, 9 a.m. for